in the ancient and powerful village of Umada. The air was thick with the weight of tradition. Umada was a land where customs reigned supreme, and defying them came with dire consequences. Among the many customs that governed the lives of its people, two stood out as sacred laws. A young maid must never become pregnant before marriage, and a woman must not give birth to twins. These were seen as grave abominations, and those who dared to break these taboos faced the wrath of both the gods and the people. The village was ruled by a formidable king, King Obira. Under his reign, Umada became known far and wide for its indomitable warriors who triumphed in every battle. Other villages trembled at the thought of incurring his wrath. King Obira had a singular heir, his only son, Prince Ikenna. From a young age, Ikenna was betrothed to Princess Enneka, the daughter of a neighboring kingdom. This alliance was strategic. The king believed that by joining forces, Umada could expand its influence and conquer even more territories. The prince, while a fierce warrior and skilled leader of Umada's army, harbored a silent resentment towards the marriage arrangement. He longed for the freedom to choose his bride, but as the future king, his wishes were secondary to the demands of duty and tradition. Life at the palace was about to take an unexpected turn. Queen Lolo Amanda, in her quest to ensure her son's comfort, brought a new maid to serve him. Her name was Ogechi. Ogechi was the epitome of beauty and grace, known throughout the village for her striking features, gentle demeanor, and unwavering respectfulness. Orphaned at a young age, she was taken in by a kind-hearted chief who raised her as his own. Now, as a young woman, she had come to the palace to fulfill her duties. Prince Ikenna initially opposed the idea of having a maid at his service. To him, it seemed unnecessary and intrusive. However, to please his mother, he begrudgingly accepted Ogechi's presence. As days turned into weeks, Ogechi's unwavering dedication and kindness began to chip away at the prince's initial reservations. The other maids, envious of her proximity to the prince, could only watch as she grew closer to him. Despite his impending marriage, Ikenna found solace in Ogechi's company. He confided in her, shared his burdens, and sought her counsel on matters that troubled his heart. Ogechi, in turn, listened attentively and offered her support, even as she wrestled with her own feelings for the prince. One day, Prince Ikenna called for Ogechi. As she entered his chambers, she lowered her gaze respectfully. "My prince, you sent for me." Prince Ikenna looked at her thoughtfully, his eyes revealing a hint of the turmoil within. "Dress me. I am going to see my father." "Yes, Your Highness," Ogechi replied, stepping forward to assist him. "You can call me Ikenna," he said. his voice softer now. No, I can't. It would be disrespectful, she insisted. The prince shrugged, choosing to ignore her refusal, and allowed her to complete her task. As she worked, he couldn't help but notice her gentle touch and the warmth of her presence. Later that day, Prince Ikenna made his way to his father's hut. The air inside was tense, a harbinger of the conversation that awaited him. King Obira, seated regally, greeted his son with a nod. My son, you are here. Ikenna took his place on a wooden stool, awaiting the reason for his summons. The discussion that followed left him seething with frustration. His father had once again insisted on the importance of his marriage to Princess Enneka, emphasizing the strategic alliance it would forge between their two villages. Feeling trapped by duty, Ikenna stormed out of the king's hut, his mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. As he made his way back to his quarters, Ogechi caught sight of him and hurried to his side. My prince, why are you angry? She asked, her voice a gentle balm to his turbulent thoughts. Get out, he shouted, his frustration spilling over. Startled, Ogechi quickly withdrew, leaving Ikenna to his thoughts. Later, remorseful for his outburst, Prince Ikenna sought her out. He found her by the palace gardens, where she often went to seek solace. May we take a walk? He asked, his tone conciliatory. Ogechi nodded, surprised but willing to accompany him. As they strolled along the garden path, Ikenna spoke earnestly. I apologize for earlier. I was angry and took it out on you. You don't need to apologize, my prince. It was my fault for intruding, Ogechi replied with a gentle smile. It's not your fault. My father wants me to marry someone I barely know, Ikenna confessed, his frustration evident. A princess, of course. He thinks it's best for me and for Umada. Perhaps he does want what's best for you, Ogechi suggested, choosing her words carefully. Princesses are often beautiful and noble. It's the tradition, after all. Ikenna raised an eyebrow, intrigued by her perspective. You think so? Ogechi nodded, offering him a reassuring smile. Yet, beneath her composed exterior, she battled her own feelings. She, too, was drawn to the prince, though she knew the impossibility of their affection. But can't I choose my bride myself? Ikenna questioned, a hint of rebellion in his voice. She laughed softly. No, it's the tradition, my prince. You must marry a princess. Stupid traditions, he muttered, though his eyes held a spark of amusement. They laughed together, their shared moment of levity offering a brief respite from the constraints that bound them both. As days turned into weeks, Prince Ikenna's feelings for Ogechi grew stronger. The more time he spent with her, the more he realized that she was unlike anyone he had ever known. Ogechi was not only beautiful but also wise and compassionate, qualities that drew him to her like a moth to a flame. Ogechi, too, found herself captivated by the prince. He was not just a royal figure but a man of depth and complexity, someone she admired deeply. Despite the growing affection between them, they both understood the boundaries set by the traditions of Umada. The village was abuzz with anticipation as the date for Prince Ikenna's marriage approached. Preparations were underway for a grand ceremony that would unite two powerful families. Yet, within the prince's heart, a storm brewed. He was torn between his duty to his people and his love for a woman who could never be his bride. As the wedding day drew closer, Ikenna felt the weight of his obligations pressing down upon him. He knew that he must make a choice, one that would alter the course of his life and the fate of Umada forever. In the face of tradition, the prince found himself standing at a crossroads, where love and duty collided in a battle for his heart.
And that's the end of this inspiring story. If you enjoyed this tale and the valuable lesson it teaches, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free. Make sure to hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we post more educative and entertaining content. Your likes, comments, and shares with your family and friends are greatly appreciated. Thank you for being a part of our community, and we look forward to sharing more stories with you in the future. Remain blessed.